Oh, is that not what was happening?
But what does that
No,
have to
just
do
wait.
with this witness?
No, I just want to.
What does that have to do with this witness?
You don't have to argue with me.
No, the court has allowed the state to
No,
get away
don't
with murder
argue with
on
me.
a number of
Don't
occasions.
argue with
I'm
me.
not arguing with
What
the
are you
court.
doing?
I'm not arguing
The
with
other day
the
you
court.
pointed
No,
me like this.
No, I am saying
The
that
other
on a
day you
number of
argued
occasions
with
this
me
court has
and
allowed the
pointed me like
state
this.
to get away with murder.
Mr. Baloi, is that not how the evidence was adduced?
Well, indeed, my lord, and we're just merely explaining the relevance of.
Can I approach Mr.
Hey, Tada. According to Judge Fazil Rata, Simphiwe Buthelezi testified in court, but we know for a fact that Simphiwe Buthelezi died before testifying in court. Even if he was still alive, he was not going to testify because he was mentally unstable. But just listen to Ufakazile Rata creating his own evidence before court.
Information that is contained here on this paragraph is also confirmed by Sergeant Mohane that indeed the address of accused number 2 was pointed out by Simphiwe Buthelezi.
Nokuthi futhi ke lokhu kumshushisi athi ke uqeda ukufunda laphayana ke kwaqinisekiswa boss.
My recollection of Sergeant Mukhani is that the address of Ntanzi was pointed out by an informer. He did not mention Simphiwe Buthelezi. That's the court pieces.
He's not an informer, Simphiwe.
He said informer. He did not
Yeah.
mention
Look, me, I listen and with understanding.
Yes.
Remember, Simphiwe said, I decided to work with the police in order to, wait,
Yes, I'm listening.
in order to show them where number 2 stays, whatever. I decided to work. It may not be so, but I understand that
Yes.
to say I am a collaborator with the police, I'm an informer.
Did Simphiwe
So you can say anything you want after that.
Did Simphiwe testify in this court, Melody?
I don't know.
Simphiwe never testified.
Okay, fine, no problem.
What we have here is hearsay evidence from somebody who's deceased, who's never sent food and sent anything in this court.
Okay, fine. They say it's hearsay.
That is Father Rata for you there. He's trying to make sure that he defends the state's narrative at all cost. But evidence I voom. Simphiwe Buthelezi died before the start of this trial. Secondly, it's not the first time Rata is saying something that did not happen in court. Remember that he said he saw a cell phone in court, cell phone Gabongantanz, the one that was allegedly using when he was at Velera police station. So we know this kind of a judge that is trying to prove a certain narrative. But even if he pushes it, he won't succeed because once the case is taken to the Supreme Court of Appeal, his decision will be overturned or overruled. And then these guys will be acquitted for this case. Today it's a Monday and Advocate Sebanda will still be cross-examining uqinisela Buthelezi, but I do not believe that that will move his case anyway forward because Buthelezi was emphatic and clear ukuthi uSimphiwe Buthelezi did not know uBongantanzi. That is very crucial in this case because we were made to believe that Tanzi was a gun trader which led to numerous deaths in this country and wherever. But now we know from umuntu ohlobene naye ukuthi cha ayikho lento leyo. uNtanzi akamazi noButhelezi wengamazi. The only accused that he knows, it's accused number 5, 4, 3, and 1, not uBongantanzi. So that was very important just to debunk the theory of the state because they've been telling us this narrative which is incorrect. Secondly, Uqinisela Buthelezi was very useful because he confirmed that when Nsizimiya was shot and unalive, they were all in prison. So the story that was contained in that fake confession Musibiya is untrue and the court cannot rely on it to convict Musibiya. It's clear that Musibiya was tortured so that he can say all those things that are contained in that confession. That proves that the state fabricated this entire evidence in this case just to make sure that they protect certain individuals and put the wrong accused in prison. If the state was serious about solving this case, they would have brought all the people that were in the house to come and testified before court, especially Ulongo Chwala, because he's the one that has been accused by many, including a statement by Uhlophe, which alleges that Jumana Madala phoned Uhlophe and told him that Senzo watutula ngephutha tutshela Ulongo Chwala. That was very crucial evidence. The state should have called Uhlophe if they were all about solving this case, but they did not call Uhlophe or Ulongo Chwala. Ulongo Chwala was going to be able to clear his name because for years he's been accused of doing this heinous crime, but the state still refuses to bring him to court. Even when the state was supposed to call him to court to prove that his leg was not shot, they did not call him. They instead opted to get that footage from ENCA where it showed someone like Longwe walking out of the Kumul household. To confirm that, they should have called the actual person, which is Longwe Twala, and then Longwe was going to tell the court that, my lord, that is not me, or it is me that was walking out there and I was never shot by mistake, and so on. But the state is hell-bent Ulongo Chwala, whoever he is, but siyazi ukuthi he's in and out of ama-rehab because ubhizi udla iy'dakamizwa, of which is a curse ever since washona uMeyiwe. If he had spoken out earlier and cleared his name, maybe this case would have been solved. Then the next question is, ubani who's going to come after Uqinisela Mthilizi? The honest answer angazi, because the defense keep blessing us with good witnesses. I wasn't expecting Mthilizi for sure, because I thought it might be difficult to bring him from prison to come and testify, but at least he agreed, because he did not have to do this, because he's serving sentence into kantanzi. I'm tinting down, but he agreed to come and testify in court because he knew that it is the right thing to do. So now I'm expecting that they're gonna bring what of Samakubo, Joseph Chelezi, or Umlungu Hlophe. Those are some of the witnesses that I want in this case to come, because they will indeed prove that Brigadier Gininda created some evidence allegedly in this case. They're going to prove that Gininda allegedly fabricated some statement, as Ulishawan has alleged, which they tried to force him to change his statement. I suspect some witnesses were allegedly forced to say things that they did not see or did not mean. So if Makubo comes to court, it's going to be great, because he worked on docket 375, which is the docket that implicates the individuals that were in the house. He will explain the role of each person in the house, and it will be in much more detail, and then create more reasonable doubt in the state case. And then he'll mention all the dirty tricks that Gininda allegedly did when he was investigating this case. And remember that Umakubo brought Dr. 5 to Ubalo's office for prosecution, but Ubalo declined and failed to provide any good reasons for that. So Makubo will come and likely explain that. But what I'm more interested in from Makubo, what did he find out when he was investigating Dr. 5? Because we know what Makubo did what we call crime scene reconstruction, and then he performed other tests, I'm sure, which the state did not do, because they were in a rush to finish this case. The state did not even bother to arrest Mapiri, who was the one that contaminated the crime scene. So Makubo will speak about that and explain the role of Mapiri, because Mapiri, I feel like, yeah, now if I'm letting Kantola, I'm a crack kalula, because she's not just dala. I'll go konzima ukuthi a crack. If she's put under pressure, and she'll speak and tell the court to clean a crime scene, because the person that told you to clean the crime scene is likely the person that shot Senzo Mayonge. So Makubo will just tell us all those facts that the state tried to hide, just to give us a full picture of what really happened in that house. And remember that there's some contradictions when it comes to Sergeant Mosia and the statement of the late Brigadier Ndlovu. Mosia, remember that he arrived at the crime scene very late, and he blamed Brigadier Ndlovu and said he's the one that gave him the wrong address, which is why he could not get to the Mayo crime scene in time. I think Mosia there, he lied. Mosia was doing his stuff, which is why he arrived at the crime scene very late after it was cleaned by Mapir. So Umakubo will tell us his own understanding ukuthi okay kwenzakalani lamaphoyisa ayefika ku-crime scene, because that is important ukuthi the crime scene is secured immediately. So Makubo, I'm sure he knows ukuthi what was the role of Sergeant Mosia, because I think Mosia on that night he did a terrible job, just to say the least. Remember that Ulo Mosia came to court and said he did not even take my fingerprints at the door or at the kitchen or whenever. He didn't do so. And obviously, Mosia also did not check where were those beer bottles, because he knew that they were drinking. I'm sure if he had taken his time to go to the crime scene and do a proper forensic work, I'm sure more information would have been obtained in this case. But Mosia did not do so. So Umakubo knows the role of each investigator, sergeant, or whoever that participated in the Mayo case. He'd be able to tell the court what mess was done by who at what time, because Makubo is a good police officer. Then after Makubo, I'm praying that Joyce Muteli is also come, because she's the one that was assisting Makubo. So she may be able to fill in the gaps that Makubo may have forgotten or left out and so on. So Muteli is very important in this case. Muteli is the one that was demoted because she participated in Docket 5 alongside Makubo. She's the one that welcomed Ulo, cousin ka Senzomiyo, of which is Ulo, Mr. Meyer, when he arrived in Joburg to do some investigation. That is the one that he said he met at night, and then he gave him more information about the case. So Usiabonga Meyer, we're talking about that, Joyce Muteli. So we shall see what was. And thereafter, I think we need to move over to case Kakadamnue, because I believe that Bogan Tanzi has done enough to be acquitted in this case. The state failed to prove its case when it comes to Tanzi. So we can safely move over. Gadlamnube's case is going to be the easiest one to defend, because science supports him and the police officers support him as well. Remember that when Gadlamnube was arrested in February 2015, I think he was arrested by Masondo and Dlamini. They found a gun with him, and then they tested that gun to match it with the projectile that was found in the crime scene of Senzomiyu, and they found out that gun does not match with the projectile that was found in crime scene of Senzomiyu, which shows that his gun is not the gun that shot Senzomiyu. But when Okinin specifically the case, things changed. That is when the gun was matched to the projectile that was found in the crime scene of Senzomiyu. But if Ulona Gadlamnube still wants to prove his case easily, he can recall those witnesses, because they were called by the state, but their evidence was brief, because I think Ubalo wanted to prove something else. But I feel like the defense did not get enough from Umasondo and Dlamini, because they are the ones that arrested Gadlamnube. But when they testified in court, Umasondo said he does not believe that Gadlamnube was involved in the shooting of Senzomiyu. That is a police officer that testified before court. So Gadlamnube is going to be helped by that evidence, because it showed that his gun did not initially match to the projectile that was found in the crime scene. It matched now because Sokfika Laba ama fabricators. It's also clear that the gun evidence was fabricated, because when Umangena, the forensic expert, went to collect the gun at Cleveland Police Station, he found the gun in an open bag on the floor. A crime scene exhibit should not be lying on the floor. A gun evidence is crucial in this case, because it is the smoking gun. It is the gun that is alleged to have taken the life of someone. So if you place the gun on an open bag, truly speaking, it means you have cooked evidence. What was the reason for placing the gun in the open bag? Clearly, police may have changed the barrel of a gun so that they can implicate Gadlamnube, because they already knew that he's from the same place as the other accused. So it was easy for them to fabricate the gun evidence. If the judge is serious about the case, he would not accept any evidence that was provided by Mangena, because Mangena testified about an exhibit that was compromised, a gun that was not secured as an exhibit. So the court cannot put any reliance on that evidence, because the court doesn't know whether or not the barrel of a gun was changed or not. And the chain of evidence is crucial in this case. If the evidence of a gun is accepted, the state should have proven enough that the gun was not tampered when it was transferred from one place to another. Remember that Umangena took the gun and put it in his safe after he tested it. That is wrong. You cannot put a gun in your own safe. You must take a gun and put it back where you found it and sign for it. But Mangena, he put it in his own safe. That is not a procedure that the police follow. So that's another fact that the court must consider, which Umangena did not return the gun where he found it immediately. He firstly put it in his own safe, which is not a police protocol. So Ukadla Mnuba, I feel that he's got a strong case to win here because the police, they bungled the gun investigation, as well as abantu abasendlini. They said the gun that shot Nzamiwa had a wheel, meaning it's a 38 special. And the gun that was tested by Mangena, Gadla, it's a 9mm. So if a gun is a wheel, it's not a 9mm. So it's not the same gun that was owned by Gadla. So Gadla did not shoot Senzo Mayiwa. So I feel like Gadla is going to survive this because his case, it can be easily proven that he's innocent. And thereafter, they can move over to his telephone records. Remember that his telephone record indicated that when Senzo was shot at about after 7 to 8 p.m., Gadla's cell phone pinged around Johannesburg CBD, meaning that Gadla was not in Phosphorus. He cannot be in two places because he is not the Holy Spirit. So Gadla was not in Phosphorus when Senzo was shot. So if he is not in Phosphorus, then he is not the person that shot Senzo. That is crystal clear. And the court should accept that evidence because it creates more reasonable doubt in state case. And remember that as an accused, you do not need to prove that you are innocent. You need to create reasonable doubt. So because Ukadla Mncube has got such evidence that supports his case, I think sufficient reasonable doubt has been created. So the court will have to acquit him. So, God.